This is public transportation hierarchy explained using City Skylines 2. Buses. Buses are cheap, fast, and they don't really hold that much people. They are pretty flexible, and building the infrastructure is pretty easy because if you already have a road system, you can just add stops to it. But buses are more expensive in the long run. Buses are good for a city that has barely any people, or they are also used pretty well to funnel people to better sorts of public transportation. Buses can either be electric, clean natural gas, or just normal diesel, but normally in cities you see them run on clean natural gas. Bus stops, you want to see bus stops about every 100 to 200 meters, and so the road these bus stops are on is about 1 kilometer long. And as you can see here, I built about a bus stop every 100 to 200 meters, which is like 150 feet. And you normally want to have another bus stop on the other side so people can have quick transfer to go the opposite direction. Buses are generally less safer than some of the other public transits coming up because they are in the road and they are subjected to car crashes and stuff. And they also have a pretty unreliable schedule due to traffic or just road construction and stuff. So buses are alright, but they're at the lowest point in public transportation hierarchy. So that was buses explained using City Skylines 2. Trams. Trams are like trains on the road basically. They can run on their own rails or they can go in mixed traffic. You usually want to have tram stops every 200 to 400 meters away, and this tram line is about 1 kilometer long too, so as you can see I built one every 200 to 400 meters away. And trams can hold way more people than buses, like maybe about 200 more people. And trams are cheaper in the long run than buses because they're low maintenance, and their rails last for longer. Trams usually have a more reliable schedule because they usually run on their own rails, but if they can also go in mixed traffic. And trams are more safer than buses because they run on their own rails most of the time, and they're not really subjected to car crashes that much. Tram fares are normally pretty cheaper than buses because trams hold way more people, like I said. And you normally find tram lines on collector roads because collectors are pretty good roads. But you can sometimes find them in local and arterial roads because there's either a lot of people living there or there's just a high density of workplaces and shops. So that was trams explained using City Skylines 2. Subway or metro. So metros or subways are trains basically, but are mostly meant to carry way more people very efficiently between shorter distances. So the road here where the two stations are on is about 1.5 kilometers, and that's about 1 mile. And you generally want to have stops every mile because you don't want to overcrowd the line, then your metro system just becomes very inefficient. Normally metros are very expensive, but once you get a good system working, they will pay off. Metros are good if your city has a high population or is very spread out. Metros can be interfaced with buses and trams, but normally it doesn't work as well as it just being by itself. Metros benefit from having buses and trams to funnel the people to them so they can carry them to the general area. Metro fares are normally very cheaper than trams and buses because each metro train can hold I'd say about 1,000 people, and just say you do 1,000 times 2. That's about $2,000. So you can make $2,000 if you have one subway fully like filled, and that's just better than building a lot of bus lines or too much tram lines. So that was metros explained using City Skylines 2. Trains. Trains are meant to carry high volumes of people very long distances. Trains normally are very expensive, and their fares are like pretty expensive too. But your city or cities will benefit from having a train service because they go way faster than cars, buses, trams, and even subways. So this road that both train stops are on is about 3 kilometers, which is like 2 miles. And you normally don't want to have train stops too close together because that would clog up your system. Same with the metros. And it would make the train service very inefficient. So you want to have your stops about 2 miles away so you have space and people can get to a more like broad area than a metro, tram, or subway. Trains usually are electric in Europe and diesel in America, but in America, on the Northeast Corridor near New York City, Boston, Philly, and Washington, those trains are electric and high speed. Normally, trains can hold a bit less people than metro, but they're more efficient at carrying people long distances than metros and trams and buses. Trains are usually pretty big. Like, they're not like too big, but they are big, like long. And that's why I want to have some space for trains. So that was trains explained using City Skylines 2. Ships are ships. They have very high capacity and are normally very expensive. Ships are basically useless for a small city because, one, I don't think you would need a ship with 2,000 capacity, and two, I don't think your city's big enough to build another port all the way around it, which would be right here. Ships are meant to carry people, a lot of people for very long distances. They're normally pretty slow and very inefficient to build them, but if that route is very popular and your trains, metros, buses, or trams can't keep up, and there's an overcrowding problem, then ships are pretty good. Ship fares are normally insanely expensive unless it's a ferry, because if you're on a cruise ship, cruise ships are pretty expensive, but if you're on a ferry, their prices are alright. Ships normally are pretty slow. They share the seas with slower ships like oil tankers and cargo ships, but ships do have one advantage, is that they do not need they don't need calm weather to run. Like trains and subways, buses and trams, like sure they can run in harsh weather, but too harsh weather will either just break them or it will cause a lot of injury inside when a huge gust hits them. But ships are so heavy that basically if there's a huge storm or just like very bad weather coming, they'll be able to go through it. So that was ships explained using City Skylines 2. Planes. Planes are very fast, but don't carry that much people. They carry more people than buses, but they usually only have like one stop. Like in a city, you normally only see one airport. And planes are at the top of public transit hierarchy because they are very fast, but barely have any stops. planes are normally pretty expensive to maintain and to operate, so that's why planes aren't really that necessary for a system, but they're optional and they will benefit by giving you more tourism. That was public transportation explained using City Skylines 2.